The film opens with a captain, his clothes soaked in blood, stumbling into an old shop. In his trembling hands, he holds a broken monkey toy. The shopkeeper looks at him, startled, and asks, "What happened to you? And why is this toy broken?" The captain, pale and exhausted, whispers, "Thank God, it's not doing anything right now." But just as he says that, the monkey suddenly springs to life. It starts banging its little drums, tap, 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 and in that very moment, strange things begin to happen inside the shop. A rat scurries across the floor and chews through a hanging rope. Instantly, something shifts. A mechanism is triggered, and in a flash, an arrow is launched straight into the shopkeeper. He dies on the spot, without even a chance to scream. The captain stands there silently. He already knew the truth. This monkey toy was cursed. Every time it played its drums, someone would die. Sick of this deadly game, the captain decides to destroy the monkey once and for all. He throws it into a fire, but even while burning, the monkey lets out a strange, sinister laugh, as if something more was planned. Watching it burn, the captain says bitterly, "I'm leaving behind a terrible curse for my children." The scene fades to black. Years later, the story jumps to 1999. We meet two twin brothers, Hel and Bel, the sons of the late captain. After their father's death, they were raised by their mother. She was always busy with work, so the boys spent most of their time together, growing closer as siblings. They were both deeply curious about their father, but no matter how many times they asked, their mother always avoided talking about him. One day, their curiosity takes over. They sneak into the attic to look through their father's old belongings. There, they discover a dusty wooden box with his military uniform folded neatly inside. But what catches their eye the most is the strange toy lying beside it, the same monkey from the beginning of the film. A message carved on the box reads, "Win the key and see what happens." Bel turns to Hel and says, "Let's try it." Hel nods, intrigued. He picks up the monkey and winds the key slowly. They wait, but nothing happens. The monkey just sits there silently, motionless. Disappointed, they assume it's broken. After all, it's been untouched for years. Shrugging it off, they put the toy back and head outside. But what they don't realize is that the curse was never broken, and now it's about to begin again. Hel and Bel were supposed to go to the Life's Kitchen restaurant with their mother that day. The boys were thrilled. They had heard a lot about the place and couldn't wait to try the food. As they were about to leave, they all got into the car. But something strange caught Hel's eye. The monkey toy. It was already in the car. His heart skipped a beat. "Didn't I leave it in the box?" he thought. He clearly remembered packing it away. Still, he brushed the thought aside, assuming it was just his imagination. They reached the restaurant and settled in at their table. Everything seemed fine at first. Laughter, food, and chatter filled the air. But then Hel suddenly heard it. A faint but chillingly familiar sound. The beating of tiny drums. The monkey's drums. His face turned pale. He had left the toy in the car, so how could he be hearing it here? Before he could even process what was happening, something horrifying occurred. The chef's knife, lying on the counter nearby, suddenly flung through the air like it had a mind of its own. It sliced clean across the neck of their nanny, who was standing right in front of them. She collapsed instantly, dying on the spot, without a sound, without warning. Panic broke out in the restaurant. People screamed and rushed to help, thinking it was just a terrible accident. But Hel knew better. This wasn't just bad luck. It was the monkey. It had started again. The boys were deeply disturbed by what they had witnessed. Their mother tried to comfort them as best she could. She took them to the nanny's funeral, hoping it would give them some closure. On the way home, she told them, "Life is unpredictable. We never know who's going to leave us or when." Later that day, Hel rushed to the box and pulled out the monkey toy. He stared at it, his voice trembling. "Was this your doing? Did you kill her?" Just then, Bel walked in, interrupting him. He saw Hel with the monkey and started teasing him. Hel tried to explain everything. The toy showing up in the car on its own, the drum sounds, and how the nanny died right after. But Bel laughed it off, calling it nonsense. The next day, he made things worse. Bel spread the story at school, turning it into a joke. Everyone laughed at Hel, calling him crazy. Embarrassed and furious, Hel stormed home, filled with rage. Without thinking, he wound up the monkey again and yelled, "Kill my brother!" He didn't mean it. Not really. It was just anger. But he had no idea what he had just unleashed. At that very moment, their mother, who was in the kitchen preparing dinner, suddenly clutched her head. Blood began to pour from her eyes, nose, and ears. She collapsed to the ground. By the time they got her to the hospital, it was too late. Doctors called it a brain hemorrhage, a tragic and sudden death. But Hel knew the truth. His words, spoken in anger, had brought this on. Crushed with guilt, he returned home that night, trembling with grief. Without a second thought, he picked up a hammer and smashed the monkey toy to pieces. He thought it was over. But the next morning, something terrifying awaited him. The next morning, Hel was stunned. The monkey toy, it was back. Not broken, not burned, not buried. It was just sitting there at home, completely unharmed, as if nothing had ever happened. Meanwhile, Bel went into a deep state of shock. His mother's sudden death had shattered him. For 3 whole days, he didn't even change her funeral clothes. He just sat silently, unable to process anything. On the 3rd day, a relative, his uncle, came to pick him up. With both of his parents gone, Bel had to live under someone's care now. Hell, still consumed by guilt, wanted to confess the truth to his brother. He couldn't hold it in anymore. So one evening, he told Bel everything. He explained how their mom died because of the monkey's drum, and that it was his fault. In a moment of anger, he had wound up the monkey, and every time the monkey's key is turned, someone dies. Bel stared at him in disbelief. "That's ridiculous," he said. "If that's true, prove it. Wind it up right now." Hell hesitated. He didn't want to do it, but in an effort to convince Bel, he turned the key once more. What happened next was horrifying. At that very moment, their uncle was out riding a horse. Suddenly, he fell off. Before he could get up, a group of horses galloped over him. He died instantly. When Bel heard the news, he was shaken to the core. He could no longer deny it. This wasn't a coincidence. That monkey toy was cursed and deadly. After that incident, the 2 brothers made a decision. They had to get rid of it, for good. They placed the monkey back in its box. Then, together, they went out and buried it deep underground, believing that would keep everyone safe. And for a long time, it worked. All the chaos, all the deaths, it stopped. Years passed. 25 long, quiet years. Hell had grown into a man and now worked as a storekeeper. He lived a simple, quiet life, keeping to himself. He had cut off all contact with Bel, not because of anger, but out of fear. He believed that if he ever reunited with his brother, the monkey might return too, and he didn't want to take that chance. Not again. One day at work, Hell approached his manager and asked for a day off. "I need to visit someone," he said. That someone was his son, Pete, who lived with his ex-wife. Hell rarely visited, but today was different. Something in his heart told him he had to go. He just didn't know. The nightmare was far from over. When Hell arrived at his ex-wife's home, he was hit with shocking news. She and her new husband had filed for full legal custody of Pete. This meant Hell would no longer be allowed to spend time with his son. He only had 2 days left. Just 2. Determined to make the most of them, he decided to take Pete on a road trip, a short escape they could remember forever. That night, they checked into a small roadside motel. As they sat together under dim lights talking softly, Pete looked up and asked, "Dad, do you have a brother?" The question pierced through Hell's heart. For a moment, he saw Bel's face flash before him, his twin, his childhood, their tragedy. But he forced a smile and lied. "No," he said quietly, "I don't. I live alone." The scene shifts. Now we see the woman who had taken care of Hell and Bel after their parents died. She had once opened her home to them, but fate hadn't spared her either. Her own husband had died because of the monkey. She lived alone now in a quiet, creaky house that had aged with her. That night, something felt off. She heard a strange, eerie sound echoing through the halls, like someone was inside. Nervously, she grabbed her gun and stepped out of her room. There was no one in sight, but she had a gut feeling. Then she noticed the basement door was open. Her hand trembled as she approached the stairs, the gun still in her grip. Step by step, she descended, and that's when she heard it. The unmistakable beat of a drum. Her eyes widened. No, not again. Suddenly, the wooden steps beneath her cracked. She lost her balance, and with a terrifying crash, she fell through a fragile glass panel below. Shards of glass and wood dug deep into her face and body. Blood streamed down her cheeks as she struggled to get up. Breathing heavily, she stumbled to the kitchen, her vision blurred. That's when she smelled it. Gas. Panicked, she rushed toward the stove, trying to find the source. But the moment she bent close to inspect it, spark, ignition. In an instant, a fire burst out. Her face was engulfed in flames. Screaming in agony, her face engulfed in flames, the woman somehow managed to stumble out of the burning house. She didn't know where she was going. Her mind was clouded with fear and pain. Blinded by blood and fire, she staggered toward the large billboard outside her house. But as she leaned against it for support, a sharp metal edge pierced through her skull. She collapsed right there, lifeless, the latest victim of the cursed monkey. Back at the motel, Hell jolted awake, drenched in sweat. He had been having a terrifying nightmare. In the dream, he saw his mother, but not as he remembered her. Her face was twisted, horrifying, like a creature from another world, and beside her stood the monkey, grinning, watching. The drum echoed in the background like a death sentence. Hell gasped for breath and looked around. Just then, his phone rang. He picked up the call with trembling hands. On the other end, Bel sounded shaken. "The monkey is back," he said, "and it started killing again." Hell's heart sank. He had tried to run from it, but it had returned. "We have to stop it," Bel said. "We have to end this, once and for all." But soon, the old bitterness between them returned. They started arguing over who would find the monkey, who would take the risk, who had the courage to face it. In the middle of the heated call, Hell stepped outside his motel room to get some air. That's when he heard a strange noise. Sparks. The sound was coming from the air conditioner unit near the motel pool. He looked closer and saw the AC shaking violently. In a flash, it broke loose and flew across the yard. Its electric wires snapped and one live wire fell straight into the pool. Before Hell could react, a girl ran and jumped into the water. Electricity surged through the pool. She screamed for a second, then went completely still. Dead. Hell stood frozen. Another death, another sign. The monkey's curse had grown even more powerful. Now, even saying its name seemed to summon destruction. With fear tightening in his chest, Hell realized the truth. They couldn't outrun it. Not anymore. It was time to face the evil before more innocent lives were lost. He knew what he had to do. Pete had one final wish. Before returning to his mom and stepdad, he wanted to visit Hell's old house, the one where Hell once lived with his aunt. Hell hesitated for a moment. The memories were heavy, but seeing how important it was to Pete, he agreed. They drove down to the old place, but when they arrived, the scene was different. His aunt had passed away, and now her belongings were being auctioned off. Strangers were walking through her home, picking through the pieces of her life like items in a store. Among those items, the monkey toy. It sat silently on one of the shelves. And just as fate would have it, a young boy purchased it, unaware of the curse that came with it. As Hell watched, his mind wandered to his own childhood. He remembered how much he longed to be close to his father. He missed him deeply. But his mother always kept him away from him, never explaining why. And before Hell could ever truly know his dad, he died. Hell sighed, heavy with the weight of the past. Lost in thought, he was suddenly snapped back to reality when an agent tapped him on the shoulder. The man looked pale, nervous. He had news. "Strange things are happening in this town," the agent whispered. "One after another, people are dying in freak accidents." Hell's eyes widened. He knew. The monkey was back. And it was here, in this town. That moment of truth changed everything. And for Pete, it revealed a secret. "You have a brother?" he asked, surprised. Hell didn't answer right away. He just nodded quietly. There was no time to explain. They had to act fast. Hell rushed to the storeroom where all the unsold items from the auction were stored. He was sure of it. If the monkey toy hadn't been bought, it would be here. He asked the agent, "Was there a monkey toy in the auction?" The agent couldn't remember for sure, but agreed to let Hell check the storeroom. They unlocked the doors and stepped inside. Dusty shelves, boxes, and furniture were stacked high. Hell started searching frantically. Just then, the agent opened a cabinet nearby. A shotgun hidden inside fell out. It struck the ground and discharged. The loud blast echoed through the room. The agent collapsed on the floor. Blood pooled beneath him. He was dead. Hell froze in shock. It had begun again. The monkey was not only back, it was already claiming lives. As soon as the girl died in the pool of the motel, a chilling sound echoed through the storeroom, the steady beat of the monkey toy's drum. Hell froze. The sound was unmistakable. It was back. Then came a realization that hit him like a shockwave. Bell was already in this town. He was close, but he hadn't come to meet him. Hell quickly called Bell, demanding answers. When Bell refused to show up, Hell started tracing his phone's location. Meanwhile, the scene shifted to Bell's home. A dark twist unraveled. The monkey toy Hell had been searching for was already with Bell. Bell treated the monkey like an old companion. A friend. Someone he trusted more than anyone else. His home was rigged with traps, wired and armed, because he knew Hell would come looking. But Bell wasn't planning to make peace. His heart burned with rage. He believed Hell was the reason his mother died, his father died, and even their uncle died. He blamed him for everything. And now, Bell was alone in the world. Because of Hell. The story flashed back to the past, to the day when Hell and Bell had buried the monkey toy. What Hell didn't know was this. Bell had secretly returned to dig it back up, but the toy was gone. All he found was the key. From that moment on, Bell never stopped searching for the monkey. Years passed. And finally, he tracked it down. It was hidden among the belongings in their late aunt's house. Bell didn't buy it himself. Instead, he followed a girl who purchased it at the auction. And when he learned that Hell and Pete had come to that house, he saw the perfect moment for revenge. Bell appeared there suddenly, pointing a gun straight at them. His eyes were cold, his voice calm, yet full of fury. He wasn't just holding them at gunpoint, he was holding years of pain. Hell finally reached Bell's house. With a gun pointed at Pete, he gave him a terrifying order. Go inside and bring the monkey toy out. Hell was shaken. He knew if the monkey toy was activated, it would unleash chaos, maybe even death. He warned Pete desperately, whatever happens, don't wind the key. Don't turn it on. But Pete didn't fully understand the danger. When he entered Bell's house, Bell calmly handed over the monkey toy. Pete, curious and unaware of what it could do, hesitated. Then Bell, filled with dark intent, forced Pete to wind the key. At that very moment, outside the house, a gun fired. It was Hell's own hand that pulled the trigger. Thankfully, the bullet missed him. Instead, it struck a hive on the roof. A swarm of angry bees erupted into the air. They stormed into Bell's house, attacking Bell mercilessly. He screamed in agony as they stung him over and over, a brutal, unexpected twist. Hell realized instantly, the monkey had been activated. The destruction had begun. He rushed toward the house to stop it. But just as he entered, a trap was triggered, and he got caught. Hanging by one arm, bleeding and struggling, he locked eyes with Bell, who was now covered in stings. Bell approached, and the two brothers clashed. They fought, physically and emotionally, old wounds, anger, and blame pouring out in every word. But amidst the chaos, they noticed something terrifying. The monkey started beating its drums again. Its rhythmic, cursed sound echoed through the house. Suddenly, the entire roof began to tremble. Wood creaked. Dust rained down. The house was collapsing. And then, with one final rumble, one of Belle's own traps snapped shut. It fell directly on him, killing him instantly. Meanwhile, outside, the town had already started to burn. Explosions, screams, buildings engulfed in flames. It was the monkey's doing. But Hel and Pete, barely alive, managed to escape the collapsing house. Covered in ash and blood, they fled the town together. Before leaving, they made a decision. They wouldn't destroy the monkey. They would keep it with them, to make sure no one else ever unleashed it again. As they drove away, exhausted but alive, they saw a lone horseman appear in the distance, riding slowly through the burning remains of the town, a silent, chilling symbol, the bringer of death. And with that eerie image, the destruction finally stopped. The town was gone, but Hel and Pete had survived, and so had the cursed monkey.